All right, welcome into hour two. So yeah, continuing there with the Christian Watson comment, um, it's that age old argument conversation of do you put a player out there at 85% knowing he's going to underperform? And in this case, it doesn't sound like you're risking re-injuring it, but you're taking reps away from, a Bo Melton, someone like that, right? Malik Heath, who caught that what a great touchdown catch he had. Albeit he only had one grab. I don't want to overblow it, but like it was his option. That was his only choice, right? It was like, hey, all right, let's go to Malik Heath here at the end of the game to try to score and make this a 2-point game. And man, he did that against the Giants last year too. You remember, Tim, when they tied it up? That catch he made at the goal line? I think
he's a dog.
Yeah.
He's a dog. He just, he ended up in Green Bay in a talented wide receiver room, and it's just tough to see the field. But I love guys like that. Like I said, he sit there on the sideline all day long. All of a sudden your number gets called. Can you run out on that field and be a monster and affect that game? And we see Malik Heath do it time and time again.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. Look at Holmes, MD1. Knock it off with the rocket balls, Brett. Okay. And yes, Tim, that's what I meant. Appreciate you, Holmes. We got us a resident doctor.
You think God never farted?
It's awesome that we got a doctor in the chat. Now, we just got to take his word for it, right? We have no reason to think he's lying about that, but this could be some knucklehead in his mom's basement, pretending to be a doctor, right?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
He is. That's all that matters, right? So let's see here. CJ Ian, crazy to think we could have 12 wins and be third in our division, 12-win team playing third-place teams in other divisions next year. See, that's the thing. Like when you look at this comparison, if we are in year 1994 right now, right, we're already ahead of the curve. And then we come out in 95, right, they win 11-5. We're already at that mark, right? We already hit the 11 win. I know there's an extra game. I got you. Though there's a good chance we could finish with 12 wins, right? Yeah. We all acknowledge that if they take care of business against the Bears. If they win that game and they go with the 12 win, he's basically, Jordan is tracking in front of the Brett Favre-led Packer teams. Now, I'm not saying that Jordan's playing better than Brett. Please hear me here. I'm just simply saying, what are our expectations if a certain portion of the fan base is down about us winning 12 games when Favre didn't win 12 games until 96 when they won the freaking Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. That's what I'm running it through that filter. And I think the fact, Tim, too, that the NFC North is so strong this year and we're third place in the division, it's fueled a lot of that. If we were first place in the division right now and staring down our 12th win of the season, the vibe would be totally different. But look, that's the National Football League, man. They got two of the best teams in the NFC in your division, right? So,
absolutely. And regardless of how the season pans out, I think the NFC's got their best chance in recent memory to go ahead and dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs here if they do in fact make the Super Bowl again. I think we've got enough talent and good teams on the NFC side of the ball, if you will, that I think it'll look a little better than the Niners did last year. We'll just say it that way.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like when you're creating expectations for next year, you've got 62 million roughly, and it depends on which websites you look at. And you don't, again, I always say when you're talking salary cap, round it up or down 5 million because there's that much cushion. There really is. Like you can find $5 million against the cap in the blink of an eye. But when you look at the salary cap, 62 million, if they were to sign everyone that were potentially not bringing back and they were on minimum contracts, we'd probably be somewhere around 40-some million dollars next year. So understand that you've got holes to fill with that 62 million, and it's to the tune of like 30 players or something like that, right? Like it's legit that much that you've got to replace. Now, it just so happens those were backup players, so you would think you'll get a good chunk of those back, as well as some of your futures. Like Malik Heath, who knows, you may look up next year and Malik Heath be on the active roster, right? Somebody like that. Ben Sims is another one that you got that luxury of potentially having on the practice squad or signing to a futures contract, albeit he's put a lot of tape out there. Tight end's kind of scarce in the NFL, in my opinion. It's hard to find them. I could see him getting swooped up too. So going into the offseason, you got to take that into consideration too. You're going to be able to reset a little bit, but you do got to decide, all right, how much of this roster do we want to re-sign next year? And let's, tally that up as well. The salary cap's going to continue to go up. NFL's king. We've talked about that. I mean, they're just they're printing money right now too. So Ron Sample says, Clay, does the $62 million include any restructures? No, that's the thing. Like that $62 million is if we brought Jair back on the contract he's on right now, right? So what we're going to do as soon as the season's over, Ron, I'm not trying to rush the season. I hope we last till February. But our first step in the offseason, you're going to see that playoff logo at the bottom switch to re-signing period, right? And restructure period. We're going to go through and do some research. I do it every year, and it's just to kind of test my skills at like, hey, keeping myself honest. Like you got to get good at this. You got to stay good at this. Typically, I'll give you 10 players that I think are primed for a restructure, and most of the time I can narrow it down to the 5 that they're going to restructure. We're probably going to have somewhere between 3 to 7 players that restructure a contract. We'll have a time frame. Here's when it happened last year, and all that is precedence of how Goody likes to operate. With his front office of, hey, we want these restructures to be done by this time, right? So that'll all come into play too. But yeah, that's again, you've got holes to fill out your complete 53-man roster, and that's what's going to eat up a good chunk of that salary cap to fill the full roster. That's why I'm telling people we're seeing $62 million is the number getting thrown around, but plan on that being probably when we hit free agency. I think we'll look up and go, we got $45 million to spend. But you like to keep a $5 to $7 million surplus, although the Packers are never going to cut it that close. I think this year we were something like $12 million surplus because you want that maneuverability in season to be able to sign players as people get hurt and work out the cap that way. So, again, we'll get into all that. But, yeah, that does not include any restructures. And here's the thing. When you do those restructures, Ron, it might not be let's free up even more money to go spend this year. It might be let's free up money to absorb this hit for these extensions we're going to sign come training camp, because that's typically when Goody likes to re-sign these players on the last year of their contract. If they're going to get a second contract, albeit they're just entering the final year of the rookie deal, he'll do it kind of in camp or on the backside of camp. It seemed like most of the time he likes to do it as camp breaks. This player's got a new contract. We're ready to roll, right? That's precedent. Yeah. So.
Sometimes you want to see how your guys are coming to camp, right? Mm-hmm. Not everybody shows up to camp the same way, right?
Yep.
Sometimes you get guys that are still in vacation mode when they roll into training camp. That's not the dude you want to give a bunch of money to right away.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at how the first few weeks of camp look.
It's huge. It's huge, man. And that's things that we don't. Just pay the guy. Okay, all right. And he comes in 15 pounds overweight, and you just gave him the bag. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, everybody except for McMoney, right? Mr. McManus can get paid tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned.
McMoney needs a contract right now.
Yep.
I've seen it. I've seen enough. We're good. And I understand. This is the other thing. You're talking about proper expectations. I'm saying re-sign McManus right now with the understanding, too, that he's not going to continue to kick at the percentage he's kicking at. That's going to come down. But, again, gone are the days. If you sign him to a 2 or 3 year extension, gone are the days for the next 2 years of us missing those chip shot field goals, right? Yep. That's the thing. Even there's going to be some misses, but it's not going to be. I mean, we to the tune that we were dealing with. I bet Matt LaFleur was so damn frustrated. Honestly, Tim, the difference in record this year, at least a game or two, in my opinion, is because we had a solid kicker.
Yep.
We could very well be sitting here at 9 wins again and missing the playoffs this year because we lost a couple games with the kicker, right?
But we have to give credit to them for after, the Anders Carlson experience of last year, going into this season and seeing what happened. There was zero hesitation from our front office and our GM to get that right. That's why Brandon McManus is here. They knew that. We needed a reliable kicker, and it doesn't matter. Old dog, new rookie with a big leg, whatever. Bring someone that can hit 35-yard field goals without doinking them off the upright. And that's what we got, man. I just love the way he approaches the game, man. I've had a little experience myself as a kicker, and I just really, I appreciate his approach, man, and what he does. And he brings a solid foundation to our special teams unit. When you can rely on a guy's leg like that, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. So if we walk down history lane here, starting in 1973, right? 5 wins, 6 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins, 4 wins, 8 wins, 5 wins, 5 wins, 8 wins. Now we're in the 80s. 5 wins, 8 wins, 8 wins, 8, 4, 5, 4. In 1989, they came out and shocked the world with 10 wins, right? and then it was back to 6 wins, 4 wins. And then in 92, when Brett came in and took over week 3, I think it was against the Bengals, 9-7, 9-7, 9-7, 11-5, 13-3 Super Bowl champions, 13-3 lost in the Super Bowl, 11-5. Yeah, everybody says it. 11-5 in 98, and then in 99, 8-8, 9-7, and then in 01, Sherman took over in 2000, got him back to the 9-win mark, and then they went on that tear, right? 12 wins, 12 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins. Then back down to 4. That was McCarthy's, I think, first year. And then in 2006, they broke 500, 8-8. People forget this too, man.
Yep.
07, 13-3, right? Brett's last year in Green Bay had a great year. Obviously lost there in the conference championship to the Giants. Then in 2008, Aaron takes over. Aaron's first year, 6-10.
Yep.
But then immediately jumps to 11 wins, 10 wins, 15 wins, 11 wins, 8 wins. That was the injury year, I'm pretty sure, there in 2013. Then 12 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins. Now look at the Matt LaFleur era, guys. Just right off the bat, 2019, bang, 13, 13, 13, 8. Aaron's last year, broken thumb, receivers led the league in drops, youngest team in the league, right? 2023, first year with Jordan Love, 9-8, and then bang, we're up to 11, possibly 12 this year. So Matt LaFleur, man, again, I can't sing his praises enough. I can't. Now, are there things he needs to fix? Absolutely. And you guys know I've been very vocal. Got to stop being overly emotional on the sideline like that. Got to, because it does bleed into your – let me put it this way. Tim, I produce this show, right? I put the criteria together every day. Like I know exactly what we're going to do. Most of the time, you guys don't even know, do you? You're going, I don't know what the hell we're talking about today, right? So, imagine if those post-game shows, we log on 5 minutes before we go live, and I'm ranting and raving, throwing shit. But how's that going to bleed into everybody else?
Yeah,
right? That's the only fault I throw at Matt LaFleur's feet. And listen, you're in a good spot when the only fault you could throw at a coach's feet, or the biggest flaw, is one that he cares too much. That we can work with that, right?
Yeah, I'll take that, right? All day.
So, all right. So again, just wanted to kind of walk through the history there of the Packers and kind of what they had done over the years and compare it to where we're at as a team right now. Let's go back to Twitter real quick. And I'm going to show you guys some stuff that we uncovered through Football Insights, just to kind of, again, if you look at Twitter, all of a sudden the pass rush sucks again and the coverage is bad. And most of that is inaccurate, right? When you go to EPA per drop back here, according to Football Insights, you can see the top defenses in the league right now through week 17, EPA per drop back. The Packers are third in the league at minus 0.01. So we have identified the passing defense. If you had to pick a weak spot on this defense, it's passing defense. And we're third in EPA per drop back. Now listen, EPA is not everything, just like PFF isn't everything, just like points per game isn't everything, and points per play and yards per play and all that. Take it all and put it into one thing, into one barrel here. I think we are a top 10 passing defense, but if I had to pick a weak spot on the defense, I would say it is our passing defense. Do you agree with that or disagree with that, Tim, seeing how the run defense is played this year, man?
No, I agree. And it's tough to be great at both, right? Usually they kind of one tilts and balances the other. But yeah, no, it's not too crazy to think that. And then look at our pass defense. We're down linebackers, like our best coverage linebacker's been out for a few weeks. We're down a rookie phenom starting safety. It's not easy. We're shuffling guys around, not making excuses, just calling it like I see it. So I think it's very realistic to be on that side of the argument that, the coverages are not great. The pass defense has got room for improvement, but thank goodness we're playing so well against the run, because I've seen Packers teams that couldn't play against the pass and they couldn't stop the run. And it was really bad,
Yep. And that's where you got to, you could probably comb through Twitter, and the same fans who are complaining about, the pass defense this past week were the same ones complaining about the run defense 2 years ago, right? Yep. Like it's just, picking and choosing when you want to complain with what you want to complain about. I've been as guilty as anyone too there in that regard. But Nick McSwain in the chat says people are complaining about the team, but they've gotten better this year. NFL is about getting progressively better. It won't all come at once. If the trend continues, they'll be better next year. And that's the whole purpose of this show today, was just to kind of go, okay, am I missing something? Am I taking crazy pills here? Because I feel like this team is better this year than they were last year.
Yep.
And lo and behold, that was true. Your win totals going up, your takeaways went through the roof on defense, your run defense got better. Your passing game and your running game has been top 10 all year long. You've legit got a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Some would argue a top 5 in both of those categories. I feel like the defense is top 10, but just outside of that top 5 when you take everything into consideration. But nonetheless, man, what's cool is you don't go into this offseason and go, this is a definite glaring need, right?
Right.
We combed through and really took time, and we feel like you need a true dominant 3-tech that would really set this defense to the next level. And I think, to me, that's how you improve the passing game, the passing defense. If the passing defense is the weak spot, when you take everything into consideration, give me a 3-tech that's going to dominate in the trenches. Now, listen, they're hard to find, and you're going to have to allocate some resources to do that. But it's too early to look at free agency. We're going to do that as soon as the season's over, and we're going to shop through and try to find the Xavier McKinney on the defensive line, because this is what we did last year, and it's like X is the dude. And I'm telling you, I was as surprised as anyone when they signed him. But that first day of free agency last year, Tim, was probably my favorite day podcasting. That was such a blast. Keeping up with free agency frenzy and them signing Xavier. And they wasted no time. It was.
Remember when we were like, wouldn't that be great if we could get a guy like Xavier McKinney? And then we all kind of were like, yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. And then boom. Yep. Goody, you beautiful bastard, you.
And as we got closer to free agency, the one thing we did uncover is like, all right, let's look at precedent. What has he done before? Yeah, actually, he was very aggressive in free agency. He went and got 2 edge defenders, and he got Adrian Amos, right?
But if you talk to some of the fan base, they go, we don't ever do anything in free agency.
It's so true. It's so true. People still say that Ted Thompson refused to sign free agents. I'm going, boy, y'all were not keeping up.
Yeah, pay attention.
Yeah, if your argument is Ted Thompson did not overpay in free agency, you're correct. But that's not a negative, right? So Goody's cut from the same cloth. Some would argue Goody's a little more aggressive than Ted. I think I would agree with that too, which is cool. So again, pass defense, you're going to see some people out there pretending as if it's absolutely horrible. I mean, the DB conversation blew up. That's why we did the show yesterday, to go, all right, let's deep dive. Everybody's getting loud that these DBs aren't good enough. We need a corner. We need a corner. We need a corner. And then you comb through and you go, I'll be damned, Carrington Valentine's a top 20 cornerback this year. Look at there, boys. That's kind of cool, right? And Nixon has held his own. Some would say he's a top 32 corner. You got to get more depth at the slot position. So I'm okay with going out. These are the two things I'm okay with Goody going out and spending money in free agency. Let's say we do end up with $40 million that we can throw around, right? If that's the case, go get me the best slot corner on the market so you can play Keyshawn outside. If let's say Ja restructures and then the injuries nag along like David Bakhtiari's did, then you've got your backup plan and you're in good shape. You're a lot deeper at that corner. And here's the other thing that's great: competition in camp. Right? Yeah. Let these guys battle it out to see who wins those spots. So,
and then also knowing in the back of your mind that in a pinch, Keyshawn can go back to the slot. Worst case scenario, we prefer him on the boundary, but we know he can play in the slot as well. So versatility helps.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of the talk too, the chatter that I seen on Twitter was, why don't we need to go get a solid edge defender. Okay, you can do that. Go get you another solid edge defender. But if you're not pressing the center of the pocket, and Jeff Hafley's calling his defense, like we've proven time and time and time again this year, guys, it'll be a 4-man rush, and there's only 3 going after the quarterback because you're running that touch spy. Okay, you do that, then just keep in mind you're not going to get that center push on that pocket when you do turn those guys loose, because if at this point we expect our interior defensive linemen to be elite, we're kidding ourselves. We're living in denial. They have not proven that. They show flashes of greatness. There's no doubt about that, both Kenny and Wyatt. To me, I have more faith in Carl Brooks than anyone else on that defensive line, just kind of based off what I've seen. Now, we show PFF on here a lot. If you go look at PFF grade for Carl Brooks, you go, Clayton, what the hell are you smoking? PFF isn't everything. You've got to look at the tape. You've got to look at those specific downs and go, okay, who's actually making the play? I mean, who blocked the PAT this year to beat the Bears? That was Carl Brooks, right? Last week, who got the only sack of the game? That was Carl Brooks. So, and it doesn't mean Carl is our 3-tech. It doesn't. It means he checks some of the boxes and he has not reached his potential yet, So you continue to go looking for that dominant 3-tech. I promise you this. If you go out this free agency and you say, here's what I'm going to key in on, I'm going to go try to find the best 3-tech that's on the market, and I'm going to find the best slot corner that's on the market, and that's what we're going to spend our $40 million on. You're not going to come back at the halfway point of the year and go, boy, we just got too many defensive tackles. These guys, we're too good in the middle. You're not going to say that because they're going to get banged up, and teams are going to catch on, and you need to have those guys that's going to get creative when the season's on the line there in the second half. So, and on offense, as a group, right, having the poll questions up the last few days and getting our listeners and viewers to vote on it, here's the 4 needs that we're coming up with consistently across the board from the fan base. We're saying defensive tackle and corner, offensive line, and wide receiver. Now, when you see wide receiver, some people scratch their heads there. Well, what did we uncover today? We're 4th in drops. Like, we're pretty bad at dropping the ball. So if you go out and you try to add someone to the wide receiver room, that could help that, right? And, like Devontae Adams keeps getting thrown around. Guys, I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell that Devontae Adams comes back and plays for the Packers. So hear me out clearly. If he ends up signing with the Packers, somebody clip that. This happened on January 2nd, all right? And we'll play it over and over because I will be happy as a possum in a dumpster if that's the case, I promise you. But if you go get someone like Tay who's sure-handed, and I don't even know what his drop rate is. What's his drop rate be higher than Jaden Reed's? We don't even know it, right? But if you go get someone like that to kind of button that up and add some veteran leadership and a little bit of more stability in the wide receiver room, that could fix that problem that the fans seem to think we have. Of all of these needs here, O-line, wide receiver, defensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver is the least of my worries, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
So if we were to rank them, I would say D-tackle, that 3-tech 1, that slot corner 2, offensive line, specifically interior offensive line 3, and then wide receiver 4 is how I would grade those out.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
So it's going to be a fun offseason, no doubt, man. Now, here's what's cool. You're playing the Bears this week, and we'll shift gears into that now here in just a second. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything on Twitter. You're playing the Bears this week, and then you're going into the playoffs, and here's where you really want to focus on those positions in the playoffs and go, okay, on our team, do we have those pieces or not? If you see slot corner emerge as a problem, right? If you see, like, in the playoffs, Evan Williams hopefully will be back. Like I said, Tim got me kind of worried now. He's like, are we sure he's coming back? I'm going, oh, crap. I was thinking he was coming back. Is he not going to be back for the playoffs? Nobody said anything. So, Tim, that was good on your part bringing that up, right?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything officially, but I'm assuming that's why he's been held out, right? We're holding out for hopefully playoff ball here.
Yeah, definitely. So, again, if Evan Williams is on the field, and let's say you bring Zane Anderson back as the backup, and listen, you got to tip your cap to Goody and this coaching staff. There isn't a fan on God's green earth that roots for the Packers that was saying Zane Anderson is an unsung hero. No one. We were laughing, going, is he a real person? Is he even on the roster? And then he comes out and plays like he did. It's like, boy, they knew. Hashtag Goody knew, right?
Another one of Bisaccia's guys, too. For as much heat as the fan base has given Coach B, I mean, Zane's on this team because of Bisaccia. And I even made the comment earlier in the year when we were talking about the safety room and we were so excited to have Bullard and Williams and, Xavier McKinney back there. And I even made the comment like, yeah, I don't see Zane Anderson playing too many defensive snaps. He's mostly a special teams guy. And here we are late in the season and this guy's playing some meaningful reps for us and playing really well. So I hope Zane's back on the field real soon, man. Really do.
Yeah, I do too, man. So, again, if you got that under control, and Bullard is going to have ups and downs as a young player, we know we haven't seen his ceiling yet. I think we're pretty close to seeing his floor. Continue working him in the slot position, and you've got a guy who can fill in at safety. There's a little bit of value there. Then let's go get us a slot corner in the offseason. So, for me, like I said, 3-tech is the top priority, slot corner second, interior offensive line third, and then wide receiver fourth. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. Now, if Ja comes back next year and Keyshawn kicks to the slot, right, if that happens, and Bullard is just your backup safety, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Carrington Valentine and Jair on the outside, that sounds lovely if Ja is healthy. You know what I mean? So that's definitely an option too. All that, these needs are going to get adjusted as we figure out, is Ja going to be on the roster next year? who's getting brought back, all those things. We'll do a final adjustment as we go into free agency frenzy for sure. So one thing I want to say about Jordan Love, this was cool. Football Insights put this out. Sack avoidance and drop back EPA. So I'm going to click on the image here. I'm going to try to explain for those of you on the pod what we're seeing here. It's the chart, pressures, the sack ratio is running from left to right. EPA per drop back is running from the bottom to the top. And you'll notice that upper right quadrant is showing you, all right, who has got a solid EPA per drop back above that line there, as well as pressure to sack rate, meaning they get pressure, but they don't take sacks. And here are the quarterbacks. And I'm going to try to list them in what I think is probably the most important order here. You're going to say probably Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen up here at the top. They are kind of the two elites right now. They are just unbelievable, right, at both avoiding sacks and EPA per drop back. Jared Goff is really good at EPA per drop back, but he's a little bit closer to mediocre when it comes to sack avoidance, right? And then if you go to the far right on down, Derek Carr, really, really good at avoiding sacks when he's being pressured. His EPA per drop back is a little closer to the median line. And then Jordan Love's right there with Derek Carr. So what Jordan Love's been able to do this year in avoiding sacks, now, in my opinion, there's a little bit of information missing here because it doesn't show you how long it is in the time that he receives the pressure, right? And I'm not saying one way or the other. I don't have the information. I'm just simply saying I don't want to mislead anybody. This could be he drops back, he's got 3.5 seconds to survey, then he scrambles and he's avoiding a sack. That's important information, right? But nonetheless, it's cool to see him in this upper right quadrant here. So the quarterbacks that are in this quadrant, just to kind of give you an idea of, here are the players who are avoiding sacks, and that's an important stat.
Especially for Jordan in his second year as a starter, because we saw him last year standing in that pocket getting eviscerated, and we saw strip sacks and we saw crazy things happening, and you can tell that was a point of emphasis. Have better pocket awareness and pocket presence to be able to slip out of there. We see him do it this year. 2 hands on the football, hitching, moving your feet, stepping up and out, getting a throw off, extending that pocket. That's what we want, man.
And one of the points of this graphic by @football_insights on Twitter was, look at Caleb Williams. You look at Caleb Williams' touchdown to interception ratio, you go, he's having a hell of a rookie year, right? And the Caleb Williams stands they're gonna stand. That's what they do, right? But look at where he's at on this chart. There's only one player, in my opinion, that's worse than him in a combination statistic of EPA per drop back and pressure to sack ratio, is Will Levis. Like, look at the names that are around Jordan Love. Let me do it this way. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford. Those are the guys in that quadrant. Now listen to the guys in the quadrant of Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, Will Levis, Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston, C.J. Stroud, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, the old Aaron Rodgers. They can't hardly move anymore, right? Drake May, another rookie, Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Geno Smith. Which group would you rather be in, with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, those guys, or your Will Levis's, Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston, C.J. Stroud, Joe Flacco?
I think I'd rather be in the group that consists of guys that were in the MVP conversation. I'll prefer to be in that group.
Exactly. So I just wanted to point that out, that like what Jordan's doing, avoiding sacks. And here's the thing, guys, he messed his MCL up this season. Like, that happened this season. He has not had a chance to rest that MCL since he came back from that injury. And oh, by the way, it wasn't like he came back from the injury and he's healthy. He came back with a freaking brace on and was limping all over the field. And there were still fans during that game going, well, he's not hurt. If he's hurt, he shouldn't be out there. Okay, say that now. Those same fans are bitching and moaning about Jair Alexander.
That's right. That's right.
So you can't have it both ways.
You can't. You want to be a hypocrite, go be a Bears fan.
Right. There's plenty of room out there. I promise you. They got plenty of room in that family. So, again, just wanted to point that out, that came across the wire, and that caught my attention there a little bit. Wanted to hit on it. Now, let's do this. Let's shift gears and go to NFL Pro, and we may watch a little tape here. I doubt it. We're kind of up against the gun. We got 7 minutes. I want to give us an early – you know what? Let's save that for tonight. Let's save the NFL Pro stuff for tonight. And let's go to the PFF preview of this Packers-Bears game, give you guys an idea of where the line is. We do this every week, not because we're gambling degenerates, although I can be one from time to time. All right?
Here's the guy.
But I just want to kind of show you guys exactly what we're looking at from the Vegas standpoint of how they're seeing this Chicago game stack up. I don't know why I can't get this to go full screen all of a sudden. It usually fills it all the way in. Here we go. Looky there. Looky there. All right, so
this guy, tech genius right here. I love it.
Oh my God, boys! Let me tell you something. With all the conversation of the world may end any day now, Tim. If you go on social media, you think that was true. If it ever does happen, I'm going to thrive because I'm going straight back to the mountains. That's where I'm going to because this tech stuff is not for me. It is not for me.
Send me the latitude and longitude locations so that I'll meet you there, brother.
We'll do. We got about 200 acres on top of a mountain that's controlled by a biker gang. We're good to go. I promise you.
Love it.
So, anyway, January 5th, kickoff, 1 o'clock there at Lambeau. Of course, that's 12 Central Lambeau time, 14 degrees with broken clouds. So it looks like there's almost 0% chance of snow, but it's going to be colder than a well digger's booty. That's going to happen. I promise you. Running game, right? Let's lean on the run. Listen, the Bears defense is solid, guys. They held Seattle to 9 points.
Yep. Run the ball and play action. Run, play action. Run, play action. That's how we got to go.
Exactly. And the one thing that Caleb Williams has done well this year is he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Now, he'll take a bunch of sacks. What he's doing is taking sacks, punting it, letting his defense win some field position, and then it seems like almost every game they're in it. At least it feels that way. I could be wrong. But here is how it sits right now from the Vegas line. Let's go power ranking first. We'll go team metrics. We'll rattle through this real quick, and we may recap this a little later in the day when we do the night show. But the Packers' overall power ranking is 7th. The Bears are 24th. Their defensive power ranking's 13th. The Packers is 10th. So PFF seems to think that the Packers are better on defense than the Bears. I would have to push back on that, but I hope it's true, and maybe it'll prove to be true here on Sunday. The Packers' offensive power ranking is not Caleb Williams and the most prepared offense in the history of the NFL for a rookie quarterback. It's set up for – there's never been an offense, Tim, put together that's more prepared to succeed than this one that they're dropping Caleb Williams into this year. They're 23rd, okay? Perfect drop. Strength of schedule played, the Packers have played the 6th strongest schedule according to PFF. The Bears have played the 12th. Average offensive snaps, they're averaging 68 snaps a game. We're averaging 65. Percentage of run plays, look at this, is just absolutely wild. The Packers run the ball 47.7% of the time. They only pass 52.3% of the time. The Bears are passing 65.8% of the time. That is just a recipe for disaster for a rookie quarterback who doesn't know how to not take a sack.
This is what I was talking about with the balance in your attack, where you're never going to be 50-50. You may get close sometimes. You're always going to lean slightly one way or the other. But when you have those gigantic swings, 65 and 34%, I mean, think about our defense. Like, do we even, we talk about how well we've played against the run. I mean, here's a game right now to put some pressure on that pass defense, and let's see if they can, I'm not saying sell out to the pass, right, but we know this team wants to throw the ball. So right, we got to think that's going to come into the fold with our game planning here. But that's what I like so much about what we've been doing, basically, since week 4 or 5 of the season this year, is Matt kind of leaned into that run game, and we, we're still passing more than we throw, but not by that much.
Right. Definitely. So EPA per run, the Packers are at minus 0.03. The Bears are at minus 0.14. And then EPA per pass, the Packers are at a positive 0.17. The Bears are at a negative 0.06. So pretty much everything across the board there, they're giving the edge to the Green Bay Packers over the Bears, and I think rightfully so.
So to recap it in a nutshell,
the Bears still suck.
I think that's a fair assessment, Tim. I do. The spread, the Packers are currently 10-point favorites. You see how the line opened up here, and you look at the market. We opened up as 9-point favorites, then it went to 9.5. It came back to 9, and now it's settling in at 10 as we are obviously in, Thursday. So it'll probably stay at 10, I would imagine. There's a chance it might go back to 9.5. I'd be surprised if it goes to 10.5 or higher. So the Packers are 10-point favorites. PFF has it a little closer than that at 9.2 points, point favorites there. So where's the money at? 84% of the money against the spread is on the Packers, and 81% of the slips, the overall bets, are on the Packers. On the money line aspect, the Packers are minus 487, so the juice is on the Bears at 373. And then again, this is just to win outright in the game. 94% of the money is on the Packers to win. 96% of the tickets, slips, the bets are on the Packers to beat the Bears. The over-under is currently set at 41. The PFF projection is at 41.8 as it sits right now. And obviously the public is all over the over. Money-wise, 75% of the money's on the over, and 82% of the bets are on the over. So that's your early PFF preview of Packers-Bears. Anything you want to add to these gambling degenerates out here, Tim? Looking at
I think you covered it, man. That's not my wheelhouse, but it's good to see the numbers here. Yeah. Smart money's on the Packers.
Yeah, and just to kind of recap too, what we've seen this year with the Packers and the line. Let's see, is that I'm trying to see if they've actually got the spread, if that's the spread or what. Yeah, so the spread going into the games here, right? Starting in week 1, we were. Let's see here. Is that what is going on right? Oh, that's the Bears. I was like, that does not look like our record. What are we doing? That makes sense. All right, yeah. So this is how the spread has been for the Packers. Just a quick recap of the year. At Philly, we were 1.5-point underdogs. We lost that game by 5 points. So a 1-score game against Philly in week 1. Week 2 against the Colts, we were 2.5-point underdogs. We won by 6 points. Week 3, we were 3-point underdogs on the road against the Titans. We won by 16 points.
Belt to ass.
Week 4, we were 2.5-point favorites. We lost the game by 2 points. Look at that line right there. Holy cow, man. That's crazy. Week 5, we were 3-point favorites over the Rams. We beat them by 5 points. We covered the spread there. Week 6, we were 5.5-point favorites over the Cardinals. We beat them by, 16 points, if I'm looking at that right, I think. Yeah, maybe. No. What am I talking about here, Tim? Yeah, 15, 16. I think it's a 16-point win. We covered the spread at 5.5. I promise you that. All right. 24-22 there against Houston. We were 3-point favorites. We end up losing. We end up, not covering the spread, but we won the game there only by 2 points. We were 3.5-point favorites against the Jaguars. We beat them by 3 points. We were, let's see here, against the Lions, we were 2.5-point underdogs. We lost by 10 points. Then we were 6-point favorites against the Bears. We only beat them by a point. We were 6.5-point favorites against the 49ers. It's just wild to think how far the Niners have fallen, man. That's just nuts to me. But we obviously beat them very easily, 38-10. We were 3.5-point favorites over the Dolphins. We beat them very easily, by 13 points, if I'm looking at that right. We were 3-point underdogs to the Lions. We lost by 3 points, so that was a push against the spread. And then week 15 against the Seattle Seahawks, we were 3-point favorites. We beat the brakes off of them. Week 16, we were 14-point favorites against the Saints. And, boys, we beat them 34-0. Like, that's more than covered there. And then, of course, against the Vikings last week, we were half-point underdogs according to the final line here on PFF, and we lost by 2 points. So, man, these losses, I know it was the great teams, and the argument, Tim, has been we can't beat a good team. But I'll be damned if we're not in every one of these games. With the exception of the Lions game, you lose by 10 points there in week 9. I can see how people say that wasn't close. I got you. But, and now, of course, we're 10-point favorites against the Bears. So against the spread, it doesn't tally it up, but we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins this year. So against the spread. So the Packers have pretty much dominated against the spread this year if you are a gambling degenerate. We spent way too much time on that, but I just want to hit on it for you. That's it. We're up against the gun. Tim, parting thoughts. Anything else you want to add? I know we're going to do a show tonight. If you're available, love to have you. We'll be going live at 7 p.m. Central, and we'll continue to break this down a little bit more. I want to get into some of the Carrington Valentine tape and look at some of his run defense, things he's done in the run stops. We noticed that last time that he hit on some of those plays. And, of course, we'll continue to break down the injury report as we'll get another one today. You have the floor there, bro.
Yeah, no, I think we just need to keep in mind that, as much crap as we give the Bears and their fan base and their general management and their coaching and their players, this team's juiced up to come play the Packers, man. Like I said, this is their Super Bowl. So as fans, I don't think we should take them lightly. Obviously, we don't fear them, but I could really see this being one of those games that could get away from us if we're not careful. So keep that in mind going into Bears week. They do suck, but you can't take any opponent for granted in the NFL.
No, you can't, man. You can't. And again, this is, like you said, Tim, this is their Super Bowl. So got to come out ready to play. And look, I think it'll be cool. Let's get the best Bears. One thing we will all agree with is we're going to be playing one of the best defenses in the league come Sunday.
Yep, that's right.
That'll be a good little primer for the playoffs for our offense, win or lose. Like, get a real good, just all right. Let's get in playoff form right now. Let's go.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys, that's it. We're out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Central, for PTA Live. Again, shout out to Josh Valanningham becoming a new member here on YouTube, and shout out to all of our new Patreon members. If you guys want to join that, just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Got an awesome community that we're creating in there. And what's awesome about it has nothing to do with us. It's just everybody in there. You want to talk about one of the most respectful chats. If you want to get away from the toxicity that's out there in the world right now, you join that Patreon group. And if you're a member of one of the three tiers, you can be the cheapest one. It's totally cool. A couple bucks a month, whatever it is. I don't even know the price on it, to be honest with you. Then that'll get you entered into the giveaways, which we are still looking for. A couple of listeners. I know I got them wrote down. John Smith. I haven't heard from John Smith. I haven't heard from Bucks Rays Bolts. And I haven't heard from ANDRA circled C SMX. Okay.
Who?
So if that is you, please, please, please reach out. I'm going to comb through Patreon and just make sure none of these three are in Patreon. If they are, I can send a DM. But first place winner was John Smith. If he doesn't come forward, it'd be Bucks Rays Bolts. If he don't come forward, it'd be the Andre person. So that was for an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. This week we'll be doing another giveaway. I'll announce that here in a couple of days, what we're going to give away. If we don't hear from these guys, we're going to redo it for the Dorsey Levens jersey as well. So just keep that in mind. Tim, thank you for your time, buddy. We'll talk to you tonight.
Thanks, Clay. See you tonight.
All right, everybody have a great night, great day, whatever time it is. I might go take a nap.
And we go.
Bye, guys.